Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all feeling fresh and frisky after a night out in Corunna last night. Hope you enjoyed the tapas. I don't know whether any of the shy people at the back want to come nearer to the front. There aren't too many of us here. Are you okay at the back? Yeah, can hear okay at the back? Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for coming along this morning. This is often the graveyard slot, the first session on the Saturday. But the fact that there are quite a few of us here means I think we're interested in the subject matter, which is good. And we should have a good session. This session is only 1 hour long. It's a bit shorter than the others. So we'll keep the pace up this morning and make sure that we get off to coffee in time. My name's Paul Thompson. I'm the Commercial Director for Sail Training International. And this morning we're going to look at how ships, ports and STI can really perhaps work more effectively as a group to achieve more corporate business, more revenue. We've got 3 of us speaking this morning. I'll be kicking off. Then we've got Håkan Vatler, who is the project manager in Bergen, who will give a Bergen, a port perspective. And then we have Miriam from the Golden Louvre, a Class A ship, who will give a ship perspective. And we're hoping that we can get a bit of conversation going afterwards when we've finished our presentations, just to talk through the subject matter. So if you've got something to say, please don't hold back. We're hoping this will develop into a bit of a conversation as we go through. So I thought really this session would be a good opportunity for us to take a fresh look at the corporate hospitality and trainee situation. How can we make more money for the fleet? How can we work more effectively together as a group of people and organisations? We're going to look at a few things. In my presentation, we're going to talk about some of the potential barriers to us being successful. We're going to talk about sales and marketing best practice, how we can be better at the basics of marketing and selling our products. We're going to talk about how we can perhaps communicate better as a group of individuals and organisations. So the first thing to look at perhaps is objectives. And are we thinking about our objectives as a group or my objectives as an individual? Is it about me or is it about us? And I'd like this morning to us all to think about us. Let's have a big group hug and think about us. We are on the same side and we have a common objective, which is to make more money from the corporate community. So what are the objectives that we have? For ships, revenue, deck events, trainees, a good crew programme for the trainees, vessel services, berthing, tugs, pilots, water, electricity, waste disposal, a marketing platform for the ship. The ship can promote itself to other people, sort of objectives that a ship might have. What about the port? What does the port want from the event? It wants a maritime spectacle. It wants a visitor attraction that will bring people to the city. It wants to generate media interest. It wants to profile the city in a good light. It wants an economic return on its investment. It's making a big investment in the event. It wants to delight its sponsors. These are just some of the objectives that a port might have. And then for STI, what are our objectives? Well, we want to promote sail training. That's our mission as a charity, is to get more young people sailing. We want to support our national sail training organisations. We want to generate media interest for the cause of sail training. And we want happy stakeholders, trainees, ships, ports, all the people that we work with. We want them to be happy with what's happened. So we've all got our own objectives. And it's sometimes difficult to see everybody else's objectives because we're so focused on ours. But I think it's good sometimes to take a step back and think about what everyone else is trying to achieve. Just a small example from this summer was we had a couple of ships that left one of our events before the Parade of Sail because they had their next commercial booking in another port and they had to get there and they were worried they'd be late. So they didn't take part in the Parade of Sail that they'd agreed to when they signed the entry form to enter the race. So they were focused on their objective. They weren't focused on the port's objective of having a maritime spectacle in the Parade of Sail. So people are focused on their objectives, but sometimes you have to consider other people. So where are we now with revenue? As you saw from the opening plenary session, we had a good year this year, 130 deck events, which is a big number. 677 host port trainees, nearly €1 million worth of revenue to the fleet. It's fantastic. But We still had ships with availability for deck events. They weren't all full. We had a big fleet of Class A's. It was spread fairly thinly. We still had ships with berth availability for trainees. There were people, there were spaces, there were young persons sailing experiences going begging because there were empty berths. They could have had young people in them, those berths. So we've done well, but we need to do better. And that's what this session is all about, is how can we do better? We would like to almost have demand outstripping supply. We've got more companies wanting deck events than we have space for deck events. We've got more people wanting trainee berths than we have availability. We're not there, but that's what we should be aiming to achieve. We want happy customers. We want the reputation of the ships, the ports, STI, sail training to be enhanced, to the benefit for us, to the benefit of sail training, but to the benefit of everybody. So that's the objective. But it's a shared objective, and if it's a shared objective, then it's a shared responsibility. We can't look to everybody else and put the burden on them. The ships can't say to the ports, you didn't sell me enough deck events. The ports can't say to the ships, well, you didn't give me the information. It's about working with each other to achieve this objective. So from STI's perspective, what can we do? Well, we can put constructive pressure on the ports. We can beat up Hawken and say, we want more deck events. We can try and get the contracts with the ports to be more rigorous, so they have to deliver more. But we have to work with them. We have to facilitate that. We have to support them. For the ports, perhaps they could be more proactive, have a longer lead time for the sales cycle, create new marketing initiatives to reach out to a broader geography, to sell deck events not just in the city, but perhaps in the region or even internationally. And for the ships could perhaps be more innovative with their products, with their services, focus more on relationships, on marketing. We all have a role to play in achieving this objective. And so there's some key words in there: connections, partnerships, communications, and relationships. They're the things that are going to make this work. And that's what this session is all about. It's how we can communicate better and develop better relationships. So let's step back. Let's take a look at the bigger picture. Let's look at the macro environment, the world at large, what's out there. What are the barriers to success? What's stopping us being successful? Oh, the economy's terrible. There's no money. There's no money in this country at the moment. Oh, no, they're busy. They always take their customers to the football. You know, we'll never get that company to come with us. They do other things. The value of the product isn't right. People don't see why they should spend their money on this event. The products aren't very attractive. It's too late. It's too late. We needed more time to make this decision. It's the summer holiday season. Nobody will come and book a deck event because everybody's away on the beach. We've never done the tall ships before. It's too risky. I'll take my customers to the football because it's safer. Poor sales and marketing. We don't have a process to make us successful. They're just a few. We could have a page of tens of hundreds of these barriers to success. Excuse me. But actually, under our control, collective control, are most of these things. We can't control the economic climate. We can't change the summer holiday season. We can't change the fact there'll be competition for this money. But we can be better at our sales and marketing. We can have a longer lead time. We can create more attractive products. We can give people confidence that our event is a safe bet through customer testimonials. So actually, we are in control of most of it, and it's down to us to make it work. So where's the money? Where are these pots of money that we're after? Well, the first thing to say is it's not with the host port project team. Hawken Vattler is not sat there with 600,000 euros in a big plastic bag to give to ships. It doesn't work like that, sadly. The money is out there in the corporate world with businesses. There are business decision makers, directors, managers, marketing managers, divisional directors. They have budgets. They can spend that money on things like hospitality. But those people are looking for value. They're going to compare our offer with other options Do I spend €10,000 on a tall ships event, or do I take my best customers to Malta for the weekend? Do I go to the football? They have a choice. So we need to convince these business people that we're the people to spend the money with. It's a commercial situation. Yes, there is an element of fluffy, touchy-feely, tall ships, young people, corporate social responsibility, it's charity, it's a good cause, and that will help us to secure the money. But it's still a commercial decision. They still have to make a business decision about spending that money. So they're the people that we're after. The guys sat in the tower block, the office block. It's also with members of the general public who might pay for a unique experience. We could be selling tickets for day sailing. We could have onboard events for the public, and some ports do this very successfully. So there's another group of potential customers out there that we should be thinking about. So what can we do for these people? What can we do for them? I'd like to talk about cake, because it's important. Big cake, chocolate cake. It's, think of the corporate revenue that we're trying to generate as a cake. We need to bake a bigger cake. So how can we bake a bigger cake? Yeah, I think that's the thing we're talking about. It's how can we as a group make a bigger cake so that everybody gets a bigger slice? Because at the moment we've got a reasonable, it's not a bad cake. This year was quite a good cake. The slices were fairly thin because we had lots of ships in the event. So we need a bigger cake. The ports want more ships to come to the event, creates a bigger spectacle. The more ships that come that want commercial revenue, the bigger the cake needs to be. So we all need to get better at baking. This is the answer. So let's take a quick look at sales and marketing best practice. Some of the vessel operators might reluctantly get involved in the sales and marketing. You perhaps are not marketing people by trade. You're vessel operators. But you have to be good at sales and marketing. You have to sell yourself. You have to market yourself. So what is your product? You have to have good products. Whether you're selling deck events, microphones, computers, you have to have a good product. You have to have a competitive product. You have to coordinate your marketing. You have to have a plan for your marketing. You know, you can't just wait until 2 months before the event as a vessel operator and then call the port and say, can I have a deck event, please? It doesn't work like that. You have to have a sales process. And this applies not just to the vessel operators, but to the ports as well. You have to have a sales process. And you have to focus on relationships, because that's what's going to make it work. You need to be tenacious. You need to be strong, committed. You need to stick with it, because it's not easy. It takes a long time and it's hard work. So you're going to have to be tenacious. And you have to give yourself sufficient lead time to make it work. You read any book on sales and marketing principles, it's simple. This is what you have to do. You have good products, you plan your marketing, you have a good sales process, you give yourself enough lead time, and you stick with it and you keep going. And that's it. It's not rocket science. But it's amazing how many people are not doing the basics. And you have to do the basics. So it's difficult. It's a tough world out there. Let's not make it any more difficult than it has to be. Let's not be poor communicators. Let's not be poor marketing people. Let's not leave it too late. Let's not be slow at responding when people are actually interested in our products. Let's respond quickly. So let's not make it any more difficult, because it's difficult enough already. So let's talk about relationships. Let's talk about love, people. There's a company, British Telecom, BT. You've probably heard of BT, British Telecom, big company. And they used to have a slogan which was, it's good to talk. It's good to talk. And it is good to talk. We live on email these days, don't we? Everyone emails everybody. But I think it's good to talk. We should be speaking to each other. Better communications lead to better relationships, which lead to better business. It's a very, very simple thing. But I'm amazed at how many people conduct a complete business cycle, ship to port, completely on email. They've never spoken to each other. I find that amazing. Pick the phone up. It's good to talk. We have to connect potential clients with ships. We've got the businessmen that are out there in the office block. We've got the ships. We have to connect them. We have to build a bridge between the ships and the clients. And I think, sadly, the guy that's getting walked across there is probably the port project manager. He's the bridge. Sorry, Håkan. But we have to connect the ships with the clients. And it varies from port to port. Everyone has a different structure. In some ports, Bergen's a good example, Håkan as the project manager would pretty much coordinate the hospitality effort. Sometimes there'll be another person that's the hospitality coordinator working for the project manager. Sometimes they'll have appointed an agency. We've got Samuel Delaunay here from Esprit Grand Large. It's an agency that sells deck events on behalf of the port. Every port has a different structure. We mustn't get too hooked up in the structure. We must make sure the ships and the potential clients are connected. Because what we have to do is we have to make sure that our sales offer is effectively communicated to the client. We have to respond quickly if they come back with questions. Well, what about this catering? How many people can you take? Have you got a canopy for when it rains? I don't want it that way. I want it different. So they need a bespoke offer. And Miriam will talk a bit about that later on. We have to negotiate. There could be a price negotiation. We have to reach an agreement. We have to sign a contract. And then we have to manage them as a client. So we have to be focused on these key things as part of the process. Again, it's sales and marketing best practice. It's not difficult. But it's amazing how many times you hear people talking about the problems they've had. The client didn't get the information they wanted. The ship wasn't sure what the client wanted. We have to cut through that and connect ships with clients. So what are some of the key messages here? Ship-port relationships. What should ships and ports and STI be doing more effectively? We should certainly be starting early. We need to start the whole process as early as possible. We don't want it to be a late, last-minute thing. We need to make contact with each other, ships, ports and STI. We all need to talk to each other. The conference is great for that, but we don't get many opportunities, so it's good to talk. Let's pick up the phone. Let's agree our products and services. Ships need to talk to the port about their offer. Let's agree those products and services. For ships, it's great if they enter the event early, because you can't actually take a booking for a deck event unless you've entered the event. You can have an agreement in principle, but the port is not allowed to give you the signed contract unless you've entered the event. So enter the event early. Regular contact. What's wrong with picking up the phone once a month and just saying hi, even if there's nothing else to say? We need to respond to opportunities that arise quickly. And everyone's going to say, oh, but I'm so busy, I can't make a phone call. I'm just too busy. Well, we're all busy at the end of the day, but we have to make the effort. We've all got resource constraints. Whether it's a ship, a port, STI, we're all busy, but we have to make the effort. So let's talk about lead time. Lead time is everything. We need to be in time for budget setting. Lots of companies set their budgets 6 to 12 months in advance. So if you go to a local company 3 months before the race is in town, they've spent their money. It's too late. So we have to be in time for the budgeting cycle. We have to allow time to build the concept. If we're talking to a company that's never had an event on the tall ships races before, we have to persuade them. It may take some time. We may need to get them into looking at customer testimonials. We may have to go and have a visit with them. We then need time to negotiate, to build a bespoke proposal. It's easier if we've got more lead time. So what about 12 months before, the summer before? So 12 months before we're coming to a port. Hopefully the ship is thinking about entering. We open the event for entries 18 months before the event actually happens. So there's no reason why a ship shouldn't enter 12 months before. Then we can start having conversations. Ships, ports, STI, we can start the process. The project management team in the port is in place. They've been in place for quite some time. We can start some initial marketing. The ports have something to take to the market because they have ships that have given them their product offer. And then we get into the 12 to 6 months before. We're really into the sales process then. We're doing detailed discussions with companies. We're signing contracts. The whole thing has got momentum. And then when we get to the last 3 months, of course we're doing last-minute deals. But hopefully by then we've got the majority of the business secure. We're not trying to sell everything in the last 3 months. There will be some clients that won't make a decision until the last 3 months, and that's a fact of life. So you've got to be ready for that as well. And then we get to the event time, and it's then about delivery. It's about delivering the promise. We've made a promise to the client. People talk about a brand being a promise. Your brand is your promise. The Tall Ships Races is a brand. What's our promise? Our promise is to deliver a spectacle, to deliver a spirit of young people, of international friendship. For the port, what's the promise of the brand, the event in the port? It's activities, entertainment, it's a spectacle, it's good transport. For the ships, what is your promise, your deck event promise? It's to deliver a quality event where certain things are guaranteed. So we should be thinking about our brand promise at event delivery time, because that's what we've been talking about in the sales process, is what we are going to deliver. In the delivery time and event time, it's about relationships with those clients, because we're probably going to go back to those ports in a few years' time, and those companies might book again with you as the same ship. Oh, we went on Golden Louvre 4 years ago. They're fantastic. So Golden Louvre's brand is its promise. People will go back if they had a good time. What we often see is more like this. It's all happening in the last 3 months before the event. The ships are ringing the port, or they're emailing, and they're saying, "Hi, we've entered, deck events, please." And the port's going, "Oh, okay, well, what's your product? How much do you charge? What can you offer?" And then they go to the marketplace, and the businessman says, "Oh no, we committed our budget before Christmas." It doesn't make it easy. It's much better if we have more lead time. So what is the product? What are we selling? Is it a wooden floor? Is it a deck? It's the wrong term. We talk about deck events. That's a horrible term, isn't it? Are we selling the opportunity to stand on a wooden floor? Is that our product? To some extent it is. Wooden floor happens to be in an amazing setting. Deck rental. That's a horrible term, isn't it? Renting a wooden floor to somebody. Or are we selling a tall ship's experience? I think that's what we're selling, a tall ship's experience. Comes back to the product and the marketing. Our reputation is key. We've talked about that briefly already, but the ports are repeating more and more. We're seeing ports taking the races back at the first opportunity. Harlingen and Esbjerg had the races this year. We're going back there in 2018. It was the first opportunity for them to get the races back. Our reputation should be our greatest asset, because it will spread, good or bad. Good reputation means a bigger cake. So we have to look at our reputation and build our reputation. So I won't go through this in too much detail because we're pretty short of time, but it's to think about best practice. If we take a deck event, what should be the minimum that someone gets? It should be all of these things. That should be an absolute minimum. The captain's there to greet the customers when they come on board. They're offered a tour of the ship. There are trainees to talk about their experience, to bring the whole thing to life. It's amazing how often this doesn't happen. And it's staggering how often this doesn't happen. Customers turning up on a ship where there's no one there to greet them, no one to look after them. The catering company's there doing the catering. But the ship has almost given responsibility over. That's not how it works. Your brand is your promise. If you're a ship, you have to be there and you have to deliver. So one of the things to think about is our product, is better guest experiences. What can we do for customers? Can we come up with new ideas, music, food, themes, innovate? The more we can innovate, the more we can take those exciting ideas to the marketplace and excite the person in the office who's considering our event against another event. I think the battery's running out on my clicker, by the way. So this is really for all of us to think about. What can we do to innovate? Can we be better at marketing? Can we create new products? Can we take our existing products to new markets? It may be there are people that would buy this stuff, but we haven't found them yet. All of this requires ship-port dialogue. We have to talk to each other. The ships can't do it in isolation. The ports can't do it in isolation. STI can't do it in isolation. We have to talk to each other. So what is our shared route to success? Great product, coordinated marketing between us as a group, effective sales processes, good relationships, tenacity, we're not going to give up, and sufficient lead time. If we do these things, we have a good chance of being successful. Going back to the earlier slide, these things in red are under our control. Some of the things we can't fix. We can't change the summer holiday dates. We can't make the economy better in Scandinavia, but we can do these things. So let's keep talking to each other. Let's develop relationships. Let's build a bigger cake. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Håkon Vatle. As Paul said, I was a project manager for the Tall Ships races now in Bergen. I would also say that I've been also working, I was a project advisor in Bergen in 2008, and I was a project advisor during the Tall Ships races in 2011 in Stavanger. And in both places I worked with the deck events. As a port, I can say I'm talking on behalf of all ports who always do our utmost to give all ships a beneficial stay. But as I won't do as a politician. I can't promise any ships that we can guarantee, but we will do our utmost to do our best to give your ship the best stay in our port. And as you, Paul, mentioned here, it's not us and them. It's not port against ship. We have to work together, and I will come back to that. A little bit of the history, which I think is quite interesting, because when I started in 2008, in the contract it said we had to send 25 trainees and we should try and make it possible for deck events. It's been a quite big change until 2014. In our contract now we have to send 100 trainees and we had to give 40 deck events. So it's a big change, and it's heavier and heavier emphasis of the income for the ships, which I totally understand. I must also say that I also have a background from a tall ship. I sailed many years on board the ship Statsraad Lehmkuhl, so know it also from the ship side. And I totally understand that the ship can't sail without the money. But this is also what I think now is a problem, or a big challenge also for the Tall Ships races or Sail Training International in general. Where is the future going? Where will it be in 10 years' time? If you see how the contracts and for the ports are now, the crucial, what we have to do for the ships to give them income, what we see now, or what I have seen during the years I've been working in Tall Ships races now, is that more and more ships come to the ports, and before they sign on, they want us to guarantee, prepay them before they turn into the Tall Ships races, which is an extremely big challenge for us. We cannot do that, because if we start doing that with 1 or 2 or 3 ships, then the rumor will go among the tall ships fleet, and then everybody will start like that. And then you can just close down the whole tall ships races, and we can just do Sail Amsterdam and Rouen and the commercial festivals, which I also have. I also have my own commercial sailing ship festival on Stord, where I pay for the ships to come. But then again, I think 99% of the ships have a total understanding, and I know them very well, and we work really well together. So now I'm just talking maybe about the 1 or 2% which we do not work too well with. I think it's very important for all ships, when they put up the budget for the year, as we do for the tall ships races, when they put the budget for the tall ships races, they don't go for the high income as they do on the Sail Amsterdam and Rouen. They should not expect to get as much income in the port as they do on the more commercial festivals. If you're lucky, you will get it, but it's not easy to promise it that way because it's built up on a different way as the more commercial festivals. But still, the tall ships races, what I would say is maybe it's the last place on Earth where the tall ships can actually sail regatta per day. So there's a last place of kind of idealism where you can sail what they were meant to do. And this is also, I think, that the tall ships races for the ships is the most attractive way to get trainees. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is where also the sailing ships get perhaps most of the trainees. I'm not 100% sure about that. But what I think is very interesting, talking here now, I think it is also interesting to say where we will be in 10 years' time. Where will this end? How can we make it better? How can we work? And then you say it's like us, it's not us and them, we have to work together. And I would like to draw a parallel to the music industry in Norway, which is I'm working also as a professional musician and a festival organizer. One of the big things they're talking about there now is that people don't come to the concerts. They don't come. And some bands, they're sitting there, we book a band, and the bands don't do anything, and they just wait to come to a music stage, and where are the audience, and we lose money. What is going more and more on now, that we have to work together as a concert organizer together with the band. The band has to use all their Facebook, all their social media to promote that they are coming to our place, and they have to contact all their relatives in that place. If they have a nephew, a distant relationship in this town, they have to send an email, contact them, and make sure that they come to the concert. And this is also, which is something we could put over to the sailing ships, because most of your sailing ships have been maybe to Bergen, to Stavanger, or the other ports you're going to. You've been, probably had some deck events. What I would say, contact the clients also as a ship. Send them an email, we're coming back. If you have if you have, for example, some ships work with international companies, maybe they've got an office in Bergen. Then I would say, well, also send them an email. Can you use all the contacts you can do to get some corporate hospitality? We will do our utmost to give you corporate hospitality, but if also you can do that, and then the corporation, then we can talk together. Oh, do you have any connections in Bergen? Send them an email, phone them, we can follow them up, and do that like that. And suggestions, what I would think would be nice, because it is, when we're walking around here and you hear some ships and some ports are better than others. And I don't say that, somebody were not happy in Bergen. It's a very difficult job to work with corporate hospitality and to work with trainees, because you can never make everybody happy. Even if you have 100 deck events, there will always be 2 or 3 ships who leave port and they did not have all the deck events they needed. And also with the trainees, if you have a perfect number as Harling had this year, it will still be possible to have 100 more. You can always have more and more and more. And there always will be someone who's not happy. But what I would think, my suggestion, a good suggestion maybe, is that the Class A forum, which you have on the SCI conference, which is the day before the whole conference starts, I think that would be a good place for the future host ports, for the year after, or the year coming, that they should meet there and talk with the captains who are interested, meet hand in hand, shake hands, here we are, this is us, what can we offer? To make a better understanding between the ships and the ports a year or 2 before the event, so that you have a face to the port and you have a face to the ship. It's just a suggestion, and you can have a discussion and a debate, because I know that the ships talk much about the different ports, and the same as we ports talk much about the ships. So instead of we ports together for talking about, that ship is really good, that ship, not so good, and the same as you probably do with the ports. It's much better that we sit together and talk, how can we do it better together, and meet face-to-face, as you say, face-to-face, take the phone call. Meeting points is crucial, I think, for this. I think that is, this is my opinion. It worked well in Bergen with the events, but of course you could have had more. But I think it's really important to take up these discussions in the SCI forum, because this is what ship and ports are talking much about. So I think it's very important that we get up a good discussion about this. How can we make it better? Because it's crucial for the future of the tall ship races, I think, of the commercial interest. How can we continue?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
there you go.
Thank you, Håkon.
Well, maybe I can talk a little bit about what a ship can do, and that's basically what I have in mind. So I can help you with that. Supporting an effective ship-port relationship. When I started thinking about that from a ship's point of view, I thought it all starts with attitude. As in all relationships, it starts with attitude, and it should be an open and positive attitude. So we can have an open and positive atmosphere to reach our mutual goals. So what is our attitude at Gulden Leeuw? I never really thought about it before this. And a Dutch saying came to mind, and it's u vraagt, wij draaien. And it's very difficult to translate. And the closest I got was, I hope. Yes. You name it, we got it. And this short sentence expresses that I believe that an effective ship-port relationship can be supported by flexibility and thinking out of the box. So, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. During the tall ship races, we have the magnificent, crazy, wonderful situation that our market changes every week. As soon as you enter a new port, you have a completely different customer with a complete new set of wishes, cultural wishes, customs, quirks, and that's what makes our sailing life fun. Your lifeline in this is the host port. You know, for them it's nothing. They live there, they know what they want, and they know who to call. So that should really be your lifeline. Especially in, I should click something. Especially in the preparation phase. Long lead time. So that's what I mean with that. It's not 3 months before, but a long time before. It should be about wishes and possibilities. What are the wishes? Because we don't know the local market. And the possibilities. What do we have to offer as a ship? And that's very important. What do the locals want? And I've chosen catering and corporate hospitality as an example. Is a posh seated dinner preferred, or will a finger food or two suffice? Is the festival more family-orientated? And should we offer a slush puppy, or is a cocktail party a better idea? What about alcohol? What is the consensus? Is an open bar quite normal in your country? A drink or two, or should we stick to coffee altogether? I don't know. On the Gulden Leeuw, we have a bold statement. We say, what do we say? We say that catering is mandatory from the ship. And that's not flexible at all. We allow ourselves this statement because we also say we will adjust our menu to any local wishes you have and to local prices. And in practice, we start by offering our own catering menu or a customized offer based on this catering menu. And in 9 out of 10 times, this offer is accepted immediately. And it was just the attitude of saying, you will get whatever you want. That was enough for the locals to feel that all would be good. All good rules should have an exception. So what you see here is fried pig's ears, which is the one thing I've ever asked a customer to bring along themselves. Pretty in pink. We had a customer last year. Not all wishes are culturally inspired. It can be anything. We had a customer on board in Aalborg, and their company logo is pink. So, and they said, yeah, sure, we'll take your catering, but we want everything in pink. Okay, everything had to be in pink, not just the catering. Our complete ship was pink. It was very easy. It took 1 bottle of beet juice, and our cook went crazy with it, and everything was pretty in pink. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Can you? Yeah. Yep. Think outside the box. What do you have to offer? And more importantly, what do you want to offer? What are your strong points? Because if you offer it, you should offer it well. Do you have one set price, deck price for 1 hour, and that's it? That's what it starts with. 1 email in the beginning saying, okay, this is what I have to offer, and it stays there. Or can it be something else? on board the Gulden Leeuw in Toulon, we had a fair. 13 small touristic companies rented all the deck, and they had a kind of fair. So there were a lot of stands all around, and it was a good idea. We've had a press conference on board in Bergen. It can be. We were a restaurant with a 3-star chef, also in France. This was, and we've been a nightclub. We've been all kinds of stuff. So just think of the type of event. It can be a lot of things. Use of spaces. Does it have to be the whole ship? Or can you take a smaller part and say we can accommodate a smaller group? Does it have to be your maximum capacity? Or in our case, we had 2 deck events at the same time. We had Gastra on the top deck having a dinner, and in the meantime, Leica Mobile was entertaining on the main deck. Why not? Could be. Thinking outside the box is only possible if the host port is willing to do so. We like to sail on board the Gulden Leeuw, and so we'd like to offer this to the host ports. And in Esbjerg, for instance, it's a nice thing for the local people to have, like you said, it's not just the companies. There's a lot of people there. Why not take them on board and offer the ship to them? We had a wedding there as well. Yeah. Of course, it's not nice for a harbor if it's empty, if all the ships are out sailing with the locals and there's nothing to see. So they scheduled there a place, or that they arranged a place for the ships that were sailing, and they scheduled it well, so it was possible. But they were thinking the same thing as we were. We want to sail, we can sail, let's organize it well. In Bergen, Håkon offered the ship one evening to the volunteers as a lounge place. They could experience the VIP treatment. What a good idea. Every volunteer should feel like a VIP at least once during the event. Cruise and company. There's a lot of possibilities there. If just contact the harbors. We were in Skoenershaven this year. We had 2 trips in one day. It was wonderful. Just an idea. Does it have to be in that harbor? That's the next point. In port, and that's a delicate one, so I'm going to take that one. Does it have to be in port? And I'm going to share with you our Henko Bay story as an example. Henko Bay is a very small bay near Fredrikstad, which was a host port last year. And there's a beautiful hotel by the bay. I don't know if you've seen the movie Dirty Dancing. It was a hotel just like that, with a hotel owner just like in the movie, very committed. And he wanted a party, wanted to offer his guest a party on board a tall ship. And well, it was very difficult because we could not commit to the time and place of the party because it was reliant on the finish of the race. And first and foremost, we were committed to sailing the race. And he contacted the host port to arrange his party in his bay. And we tried to convince him to do it in the city, in Fredrikstad. But no, he wanted it in his bay, by his hotel, his party, which is understandable. So it was a gamble. And we said, okay, if we can make it, we will come. And he called the contact person of the host port 6 times a day, asking about the race and especially the whereabouts of the Gulden Leeuw. But in the end, we could make it. It was a pop-up deck party. Within 30 minutes, the ship was at anchor, and the hotel people came, and the top deck was pimped with tablecloths and a whole lot of flowers. And very beautiful guests were taken to the ship in very beautiful dinghies. I'll show you. Or Paul will. Yeah. And it was great, and we could make it in time also to be in Fredrikstad. So it was a very very out of the box because it was a party not even in the host port. So it's just an idea. In the meantime, our trainees were. Our trainee life was going on as usual on the main deck. They were having a swim and jumping into the water and everything. So it's there's so much possible at the same time. So in conclusion, because I think we're good for time as well, how would you define as a ship, how would you define your attitude? And does your crew know this, how that is? What do you really want to offer? Is it one thing? Is it two things? Is it, in our case, we'll do anything you like? And how are you communicating these things? And that's, I think, if you answer these questions, that could really support a ship-port relationship. Thank you.